Omega. Just nothing but aggression from Omega.
Yeah, I think a big thing here is they need to find their answer to Henlo. Henlo's kind of been the clutch factor on the side of TH Salmon, who's been running in, who's been getting the picks in the defense, who's really the first one forward and the furthest up in all the offenses. And Henlo's kind of the star player here as far, I mean, obviously everybody else on TH Salmon is also doing a great job, but it's really Henlo that's the shining star that's clearing them path forward and is kind of the key to making their plays. So they've really got to watch out for those, especially since this is such a good map to kind of shark around corners and under these ledges on.
Yeah, and I think the Salmon is going to make a strong opening statement because it's always just a firefight for mid until somebody can really get something going here. Nolan going to try to take up the left-hand side with the Kraken. Going to take Tomoko out of the game. That Zuka is going to find no value because of Nolan there. But still, 3 members of TH Salmon going down. This is going to be Moonlight's opportunity to force that basket pop. But still, Toma, even then, with the man advantage, it took them a little bit of time to make that power clam.
Yeah, it did, but they are able to get up there. They're able to get some score on the board, trying to add some more. Shadow's going to keep that basket open for just a little bit longer there. Also utilizing that cooler so that they can be back fast as they go down. They're down to 59 there, trying to still extend it open, are going to be able to do so. The clans do seem to be in their favor there, but unfortunately going to be picked off by a bomb as they try to move forward there. And they're going to be back faster than ever, especially with the double cooler comp on the side of Moonlight.
That's true. Moonlight is running double cooler, so they just want to be in and out of the game as quickly as possible. This is going to be their opportunity for that. I think they're getting used to spawning in and out, and they just want to be as present as they possibly can be. So there goes cooler number 1, and everybody going to be taking drinks as we're trying to push in and take the fight to this elbow side here in front of the basket of TH Salmon. This is finally where it seems like things are changing because TH Salmon hasn't really been able to come out into mid much at all.
No, they have not. This has been a completely different game from Moonlight, who's just keeping commanding presence right now over this map. You see a second cooler coming out there. Omega moving forward through here, has a Zuka at the ready as well, but looking to find a pick before using it. Going to be able to find one. That cooler is going to save their Zuka, I believe. SS Nolan now picking off the one and creating this entranceway here underneath this basket, picking off Synapse. Now ending underneath that basket, may be able to get some way in. Look, that Zuka coming out at the right moment. This is the Moonlight everybody knows and loves.
Yeah, it just took a couple of games to really to find our footing here, but finally Moonlight in the forefront of this game here. Basil trying to push up and just keep the basket painted as much as possible for enough for Shadowwind to come in. Unfortunate wipeout, but still down to the 6 mark because Shadowwind able to bust through and build a power clam in the final moments there. But look at this, TH Salmon already ready to respond, Toma. I mean, 2 power clams by the basket already, but immediately a response from Moonlight on the respawn. That is a delayed wipe on TH Salmon.
And Omega just, I don't know if you noticed, dropped in from behind, went around mid to come behind them and just pinch on that flank there. And it worked out so beautifully. They did not notice Omega, who was able to clear that out. A really great defense. And now we're seeing more of the same where TH Salmon is just kind of stuck in the base waiting for the right moment, but is actually going to be able to get a jump in. And as soon as I say that, gonna die and drop the power clam off the map. Right now, Moonlight is just absolutely holding this together.
Yeah, that TH Salmon, that was quite literally a last resort tactic there. They were like, we gotta do something. Let's try to jump in and get close, and it just didn't work out for TH Salmon. And unfortunate timing for that ball to also fall off into the depths of the cliffs of Scorched Gorge. A lot of clams to be lost off of that side ledge there consistently because it just bounces right over and you can't really control it. So TH Salmon, I mean, again, having a power clam in their possession, they are no strangers to trying to keeping economy good. Finally going to find a response here and make a break, but not before Omega's going to take 2 people out of the process, make it 3 people getting taken out. That's going to force the jump out for TH Salmon. Tomoko, unfortunately, jumping in, though, as their mate was jumping out. So that's going to stop at the 65 mark with 30 seconds left to go. And again, Moonlight still on the forefront. You have Nolan with the Kraken jumping into this basket area, trying to contest Synapse, but making safe passage for that power clam to make contact.
Yep, and they're going to be able to get that down to 1. They just need 1 extra clam, and there they go. Moonlight securing that game, and wow, what a different Moonlight team we've seen here on Scorch Gorge. They're here, they're ready, they've warmed up, they're like, it's time to show up, and they have to reverse sweep this set now, Saf, so a lot of pressure on the line, but if they keep playing like that, Saf, it could be easy for them, but of course, TH Salmon, not to be underestimated.
No, Toma, I have the stream up on a different screen, and I hope that Jorian got that last play, because that last clam that flew into the basket did not look close enough to make it. Shadowwind was so far away for that throw to make contact, and it did. So here in the final moments, Nolan is going to make an opening. That power clam's going to go in and open it up. Look at this on the right-hand corner. Look at that! Behind that little right-hand like angle piece on the map there.
I think I know what's happening here. It's just that, like, the future, right? We don't have access to it, but next patch, watch it. There's going to be clam throw up the ability, and they've just got early access, you know?
Yeah, that was a Hail Mary of a throw from Shadowwind. I'm so surprised that they were close enough for that to even make contact with the basket. That was huge. Moonlight is still in the fight here, finally showing up. I mean, that was the Moonlight that we were talking about at the beginning, Toma. The Moonlight that was playing on Scorch Gorge Clams. And honestly, it leaves the question up for debate, because now that we got to see it front and center, is Double Cooler the way? Is that the way?
And really, I think it's, of course, very comp dependent how your team plays. But when Moonlight has that double cooler and they're able to just run in, you have these players like Omega who can just get super fast SS Nolan, who just are very, very aggressive and who constantly win those frontline fights. If you can enable them to take that with minimal risk twice as often as you could with just one cooler, I think it works out really, really well for them.
I mean, I don't foresee them even changing that, Toma. They're still going to be holding on to the double cooler comp. No changes to be had. Omega feeling really confident on this carbon roller. And, I mean, as they should be, because we got to see them earlier in that game. I mean, they beelined it for the basket area of TH Salmon. They wasted no time to try to get there. And we're very much a force to be reckoned with, and I mean, the force of nature is going to be no different here for Omega as well. But opening statement being made from TH Salmon, this is very, very cognizant and reminiscent of the first games that we got to see in this round here. But there we go, Moonlight forcing a delayed wipe out there, and Omega trying to come forward and take the fight to Henlo, but you have 3 different members of Moonlight just covering the corridor. I mean, what is TH Salmon to do?
Yeah, I mean, unlike that Umami Clam Blitz games, it looks like Moonlight or Umami's Flat Zones game, it looks like Moonlight is able to find their way back into zone here relatively easily. Now it's going to just keep trying to maintain this space and control that zone. They're able to do so. They got to watch out for Tomoko coming behind them, though. Going to be picking one off now. Basil set up here in this good position. Just keep paint down on that zone and try to poke. And Henlo there getting a nice assist as well to keep this zone in control of Moonlight at the moment. It's going to be on TH Salmon to really be able to find a way to get really far forward into Moonlight space. I don't think sitting in that elbow is really going to cut it, especially when they have the range of that pencil from the side of Basil too. And right now, Moonlight is still just continuing to win these fights and continuing to keep this pressure on that zone.
I love when Omega just tries to recorrect. They got way too deep and they were like, nope, this ain't it. And then they immediately jumped back out. But Moonlight still having such a strong hold on the midsection. Tomoko finding their Trizuka, but not finding any value for it, and especially because Nolan changed into that Kraken form as quickly as possible, but still enough for TH Salmon to try to flip the script and add another long penalty onto Moonlight. 68 unit points for them to try to tick it down. And with 2 members going down, this could be danger and good for TH Salmon to try to push forward and get themselves into the spawning point of Moonlight here as they do take the zone. Special's going to be coming out. There's a lot of displacement coming from that whale and the Trizuka too. But when you have a point blank shot from the Trizuka there, I mean, again, what's a girl to do?
Exactly, and that 2 down was pretty dangerous for Moonlight. Basil able to at least managed to save it up a little bit, getting a pick onto that corner there, which was huge for them. And now you got the ranking coming out from Nolan, gonna find a pick on the Synapse, gonna be huge. 2 down now on the side of TH Salmon as they're looking for the pick onto Tomoko too. Not quite gonna be able to find it, and it looks like the zone is gonna flip into Moonlight's favor there. TH Salmon now though does have control. Look at this. This is their opportunity to really get forward. They need to make sure that Basil doesn't pick one of them moving again onto that corner. But Basil's been doing such a great job of just finding a spare pick or two as TH Salmon tries to move forward. And Omega's gonna clear it out there. Big Safa.
Oh my god, that was huge from Omega. The very tip of that flick, able to find contact and get the pick. There is no penalty for TH Salmon here, so this is looking very snowbally right now for Moonlight as 2 members are pushing forward and putting a lot of pressure on Basil, but not before Nolan is going to come in and help out with that. Look at that, opening the way for Moonlight to come back into the zone. That was a huge response from Nolan to Basil there.
That Kraken finding too is absolutely huge. I don't think they knew it coming, picking on the Tomoko and then just not fast enough of a call out to save the other member of TH Salmon there. And it was just absolute perfect timing for Moonlight, who looked like they were really starting to lose control of the speed of that game. Now have that zone back into their control. Now they're almost through this penalty staff, and if they can control it for just a little bit longer, we could potentially be seeing knockout. But look at all this blue going down on the zone. That penalty is going to be readjusted on to Moonlight, and it looks like they're going to be trying to just maintain that, but Moonlight is pushing forward with so much aggression again. Basil finding a great pick in that Kraken from SS Nolan, forcing people down onto that left-hand side. You can see they're all converging on Synapse, who's going to be forced to jump out. This is great teamwork.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of movement that Moonlight has with the pencil paint from Basil is huge, because I've been seeing members frequently just kind of dance in the pencil stripes that Basil's throwing out and just trying to extend their range as best as they can, pushing into the, like, as far as they can go in each, like, little lane that Basil's been making, but also not overextending to get caught in the blue. So you could see Henlo was trying to push forward there, but not able to find value, so Moonlight is still going to be holding on to the zone as we go into the final seconds. With 3 members down, though, and Lexi being the last one alive, I mean, the pressure's on there, because what is Lexi going to do? They tried to paint the zone, but you had 2 other people shooting at you at the same time. So Moonlight taking us into a game 5. It is not over yet. They are looking for the reverse sweep, Toma.
They are back, and they are so strong as
We're
they've shown
so
here.
back.
Like, oh my gosh, stop. And the beautiful teamwork between, like you said, Basil just putting down paint for their team members to push through, and you see just especially Omega and SS Nolan who are really making use of that. And the beautiful Kraken, look at that beautiful just edge of the vertical on to Tomoko to get that pick. And then we see great Krakens come out from SS Nolan there, just like that, finding a great pick onto Synapse there, and then looking in, trying to find Tomoko, not quite able to find it there, but I know there's another moment where SS Nolan's able to get 2 of those Krakens. The Kraken plays have been just huge this game.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like the call and response that Moonlight has is so incredible to get to watch firsthand, because again, so much pressure when Nolan turned around with that Kraken to help out Basil. Basil was not going to be staying alive for much longer there. Like, they were in between a rock and a hard place. Like, they just had to back up, and they didn't have much space to do so. So when that call out was made, you could see Nolan immediately turned around, and like you said, it was like, did they know? They didn't, because TH Salmon had their backs turned, and then they literally had a Kraken drill them right in the small of their backs. You know, like, literally back-breaking Kraken plays coming out from Nolan. And that, again, that call and response time that Moonlight has is so incredible, because you can see a lot of the call-outs play out in real time. And again, it just, the communication is astounding, because it's like, it's point-second decision-making. It's really quick and on the nose with what you want to do. And so the synergy that we got to see between Basil and Nolan in that game was really phenomenal. And also the movement tactics that Omega has, oh my god, you frontliners, take notes. Because Omega is so fast with that Carvin roller, and the mechanical advantage that they have in comparison to other frontlines is pretty insane to get to watch.
Yeah, it really is, Saf. And I mean, it's been such a treat getting to see these games play out. I mean, I'm excited for this game 5. And I mean, TH Salmon's been a team that's cool under pressure, but like, we see here that there's been so much pressure from Moonlight coming out, who's really found their footing. So will TH Salmon be able to bring it back out here? Tower control, Mako Mart going for a little bit of a treat. I'll meet you in the dessert aisle, Saf, because we are in for a treat this game.
Yeah, dude, you can find me at Safurea on Twitter in the freezer section of Mako Mart, but also stuck in the checkout line because I forgot my membership card. But you know, it happens to the best of us. But you know who hasn't forgot their membership card? It's Moonlight, because Moonlight going in and getting a nice double pick. And I mean, just a couple seconds on the board for TH Salmon to try to do something, but it wasn't quite enough because Omega is there in response. And the cooler coming out too with another Trizuka from Omega, finding contact with one member of TH Salmon. That's Lexi going to be going down, and a delayed wipe at that for TH Salmon. So first checkpoint to be had by Moonlight. We're going to go into the second one, Toma.
Yeah, and we still see this very oppressive offense from Moonlight. The same we've seen the past 2 games here. We got Nolan chasing down with that Kraken, looking to try to pick off Synapse. That Kraken is going to be ending, but still finds the pick onto Synapse. Now looking over at Henlo, trying to get this fight there. Secured up, does within the safety of the splash wall. We are now cruising on to checkpoint 3. And Saf, we are threatening a knockout here at this rate, but Tomoko is going to be able to stop it right there, and it's Trax pushing here at that stack to stop Moonlight from coming back in. But there's another Kraken ready to go there in the back, looking to turn back around on Tomoko. Tomoko's noticed it this time, but unfortunately, I thought was gonna die on that suction bomb, but manages to live it out and finds 2.
Yeah, Tomoko going sicko mode in the corner there. Nolan not finding value with the Kraken, but again, finding themselves in between a corner and nowhere to run. That's just feeding day for Tomoko there. Finally, now TH Salmon has tower in their possession, but still, this double cooler comp from Moonlight, I mean, they can't be stopped, Toma. They're so fast, because look at that, 2 members down already on TH Salmon. Make it 3, that's a delayed wipe coming out from TH Salmon. You have members that are just very much displaced, trying to launch something onto the cooler there to prevent Moonlight from finding any value with it. But it's not really going to matter, because look at this again. Who's got eyes on Nolan, as Nolan is going to force Lexi into a firework?
Yes, they are here now. Looking there, the corner, Omega finds another great pick there with that Zuka, and it is hard for TH Salmon at this point to stop the bleeding. A minute and a half into this game, we're halfway through it, and it has just been absolute dominance so far from Moonlight. Omega going down there in the corner, and it looks like this finally may be the opportunity for TH Salmon to find their way back in, but Nolan is just stopping them from re-entering mid. Every time I think they have an opportunity to, somebody on the side of Moonlight just stops TH Salmon from moving forward.
Yeah, Nolan's literally got 1 foot permanently planted on that right-hand side. Again, a Kraken coming through to try to displace. Look at that jumping mechanic to get up on the top ledge there. So much distraction power that Nolan has to try to displace the members of TH Salmon. But it's not going to matter, and it's not going to be enough, as TH Salmon with Tomoko finding a nice pick with the Trizuka, looking in for the second one. Now they're trying to make a proper response here, but it seems like every time they get close, Toma, Moonlight is there to immediately just take them down and knock them down a peg or two. With the hammer coming out, not finding much value there. It unfortunately hits the side and not up onto the platform. But finally, first checkpoint down for TH Salmon. This is where Moonlight is going to seem to be having some trouble this game. But you say that, and look at that. 2 orange X's make it 3 on the screen. Immediately, 3 members of TH Salmon going down. Moonlight back at the forefront.
Yeah, Moonlight here has really found that pacing this game. They're keeping this together, and like, I need to know the Kraken count. Like, how many Krakens has this been on the side of Moonlight? SS Nolan has another one.
And 1 more in the
ready
pocket.
To go. Like, it is always on board. I know that there's always, tower charge for the team in control of tower on TC, but this is a lot of Krakens and a lot of coolers. We saw 2 coolers out right next to each other, and maybe a couple of cooler is the meta, Saf.
I know, is this really the way? Because for so far, Moonlight is proving that this is how it's to be done. And again, look at that. Nolan finding a pick onto Tomoko, trying to find another one on to Synapse there, forcing Synapse and Lexi to try to fight. So taking some scraping some time off of the tower push for TH Salmon there. A good play from Nolan. You can see Omega trying to go in, not finding any value there, unfortunately. A lot of orange ink, though. This is a great setup for TH Salmon to try to make a response.
Yes, it is. They're able to get control of this tower once again. If they can get, Henlo over here on the side, maybe with a stamp, moving in and get some picks, this could spell disaster. Tomiko with
Oh!
Izuka looking for an entrance, but they have to watch out for this Kraken. Nolan is going to be forcing them back, and it looks like this could be disaster. Not touching that tower quite in time. Moonlight wrapping the setup.
Wow, Moonlight forcing the reverse sweep onto TH Salmon. TH Salmon had it in the bag for those first 2 games, but Moonlight finally got it together in the 3rd one, and they were like, not today. We are still here, and we're going to keep on fighting and pushing forward, and that's exactly what they did. And unfortunate for Tomiko, though, on those last final moments, because if that Trizuka was able to find any value on the members of Moonlight, I mean, they were bunched up on the plat, too, on the left-hand side. They were all bunched up there. There was a perfect opening for Tomiko to really cause some critical damage to Moonlight. But, I mean, the fact that it didn't find any value in those final seconds, I think that was kind of the nail in the coffin for the ending there.
Right. Some people call it the lottery, Zuko, for a reason. Sometimes you win big, and other times you just lose. And unfortunately, that was one of the times where the Zuka just didn't quite find the value it needed. But I want to talk about, you saw a replay there with SS Nolan there, just in that splash wall, causing havoc. SS Nolan, I think this game was really, really a huge key to victory for them. Constantly holding down that right-hand side of the map, just refusing to ever let TH Salmon really get a real push in on this game, and it just really led to a beautiful overall play from Moonlight.
Yeah, but I think what you hit the nail on the head. It's like Nolan had 1 foot on that right-hand side with Kraken consistently throughout the game, but then they had another foot in the midsection fighting with the team fight. Like, they had equal parts of both, and it was the key to victory here for Moonlight, because nobody on TH Salmon had eyes on Nolan for a lot of that game, because I kept saying it. I'm like, where's Nolan? Who's watching Nolan? You have to be watching where that Kraken's gonna come in and cause chaos, because, I mean, it was free real estate for Nolan. They were living on that platform for a lot of the game in Kraken mode, and so...
Yeah,
and I'm
Kraken, Saf
yeah.
won every single minute, plus an extra. Like, they always had Kraken. It was crazy.
Yeah, just never not having Kraken for SS Nolan. So congratulations to Moonlight. We're going to push forward into the bracket. So looking ahead here, folks, if you're following along at home, this is what we're looking at right now. So a really decisive Game 5 for Moonlight to move forward. Celeste and HDMI Cable also finding themselves in a decisive Game 5 and looking to see prediction that Celeste is going to be the next one to face Moonlight in combat here. But we will see, because you never know what's happening on the other side there. If you really want to take a peek, though, I believe that is on the Dapple's that was on the Dapple stream, so you could go over and take a peek there to see what's happening. So waiting for Moonlight to have their next contender, but still looking in on the bracket there, you can see, I think Grougrou and Celeste? No, Grougrou is going to be pushing forward, I think. They are, yeah. So Grougrou is fighting hand-to-hand combat with Duck Motif. Duck Motif finding themselves in a decisive 3-0 sweep against BTDX, and BTDX, Toma, has had a really, really awesome Ludi season, I believe, and just also tournament run season these days. They've been doing awesome. But Duck Motif, also a very much an impenetrable wall that is hard to face and force and reckon with. So Duck Motif finding themselves head-to-head with Grougrou, and Grougrou also a very strong competitor. So now that we're moving forward in the tournament and the bracket, folks, we're really starting to see the big names, the ones that are going to make it through the fray and get into the final bits of the bracket.
Yeah, we definitely are, and I'm very excited where, like you said, we're going to see Grougrou versus Duck Motif, and I mean, these are some crazy players. Duck Motif, of course, is a pretty staple name. I mean, we've seen them time and time and time again throughout tournaments, and on the side of Grougrou, you have Biscuit, Kyo, Gray, just all these crazy players that just have huge victories. I even think, like, what is this? I gotta go look at Kyo's won 20XX before. I'm pretty sure Gray has won 20XX before, if I'm not mistaken. I've gotta go look. No, okay, maybe that's not correct. Kyo definitely has before, though, too. And these are players that we've seen that are capable of winning majors. They're capable of winning not just today, right? But the whole
they have.
league.
They have won, not just that they're capable, but they have won majors before. But let's talk a little bit about Duck Motif too. I mean, Red Shell is no stranger to the comp scene. They've been in this since Splatoon 2, as far as I know, maybe even Splatoon 1. But in Kaiza as well. Kaiza also being a very strong comp player, getting first in the first sea battle, actually, or no, second in the first sea battle with Ravenous Raccoons. So no stranger to the land stage either, coming out from Kaiza, and some experience really to bring to the table for Duck Motif in these more heavier competitions, and especially against folks that are a lot more difficult to play against. So I think, Toma, I believe now we're moving into a counter pickings type scenario. Is that correct?
I do believe that is correct. That's what seems to be indicated here on our lovely streams. You know, for once in my life, right? I'm usually I'm casting and I'm also staff, but for once I'm not staff.
Right. Okay, so for those of you back home that you're like, hey, what does counter picking mean? Counter picking is what this format is happening here. So we open up on Barnacle and Dime splat zones. The victor of that round cannot pick Barnacle and Dime again. They cannot pick splat zones again if they find themselves on the counter picking side. So if you are in the counter pick, the person on the losing side of it can pick splat zones again. They can pick it again because they can have another shot at trying to win in that mode. So it's going to be interesting to see who is going to be forced into the counterpicking scenario, which, again, I'd like to go back to that last Riptide where Last Light forced FT Win down into the losers bracket. But not only that, but when you find yourself into the grand finals scene, where Last Light did meet FT Win once again, they did force FT Win into the counterpick scenario, which is interesting because I don't think FT Win is very familiar with being in the counterpicking seat. So that's a really fun little tidbit of knowledge there for you. So both teams had been forced to counterpick before. I also want to note that there is going to be a screen at play here, and there is double squeezer. This is the first time we're seeing squeezer today, Toma, and there's two of them. We have one of each.
And another reminder here, you know, right now we're in semis, so the winner here will go on to winners finals, but going on to winners finals also means that they're going to place top 3 at the very least. So the winner of this match will be guaranteed a spot in the Dapple League. So very, very important here for these teams with 20XX hopes. Right now, Duck Motif taking this early control of zone, and they're even trying to take this area from Grougrou, trying to move forward, and look, Vex in here just dodging bullets like crazy, trying to find these picks. Red Shell getting a nice trade as well. Gonna hold Duck Motif's control of the zone right now, but Obito is gonna be trying to paint over all of that, get it back in control for them.
Yeah, could we talk about how Kira just stonewalled a Zuka shot in the opening statements there? Because they just stood there and took it like a champ. And I mean, eventually, yeah, they did go down, but the one shot from the Zuka, point blank, it did not take them down. So if that doesn't describe the momentum of Duck Motif, I don't know what does. But here's Biscuit with Grougrou pushing up on the left-hand side, trying to launch in some shots, taking Kira down in the process, and also causing quite a bit of damage too to Vexen, but not going to find success in the fight as Vexen is going to be the one to push forward here. 2 members still of Grougrou up and alive, trying to contest the zone. But you also have Kaiza pulling up the rear on that pencil. So look at all of this ink pushing forward and also using the Trizuka to close off of that corridor. So Grougrou having trouble finding their footing to get a re-entry point here. But Duck Motif having no trouble at all, as look at how far that pencil is reaching. I mean, the cooler has been planted, but I mean, at what cost? Because you have eyes from the pencil. Until the Trizuka comes out, this could be major for Grougrou to try to make something else happen.
Yeah, that screen coming out though, and the price strikes as well are going to secure. Oh, I say secure, not quite yet. Going to try to get this zone for Grougrou, but Duck Motif is going to go 2 down as they try to control that zone. Not going to quite be able to do so. Grougrou takes control of that. Now Obito is setting up in a great position to apply some pressure. Almost has the Zuka on line as well. You can just start charging that up. And got Yo there on that bucket trying to pick up Kara, but Kara's going to get the Zuka out. Find 2 there onto the zone. Obito going to be forced to back out. Red Shell finding the pick there too. Duck Motif standing strong.
Yeah, Duck Motif standing on business here. Look at this this momentum that they have. Kira causing havoc in that corridor there, the wall coming up. The tri-strikes are going to come out to maybe cause some momentum there. But look at Red Shell finding attachment there, and Kyo said, no way, Jose, taking Red Shell out of the process there. An unfortunate landing spot. That's 2 members down on Duck Motif here as the members of Grougrou trying to maybe find an access point, and they do. The screen's going to come out and cause a little bit of a barrier and a big decrease in visibility for Duck Motif, and it's successful in doing so because I look at this steady push that Grougrou has now.
Yeah, and I mean, you see Kara kind of forced to jump out, and you kind of saw Kara avoiding that screen. You don't want to take damage from it. It's basically a giant burst bomb direct traveling across your entire screen. And you saw how Grougrou kind of forced Kara into the corner and forced the jump out, knowing exactly where they were going to go. But now Duck Motif is the ones back in charge here. Biscuit and Kyo forced to back up here to that snipe area. As Kara moving forward, just trying to find some space. The cooler coming out going to help sustain this push as well, ensuring that if they go down, they will be back fast. But Grougrou, oh my gosh, Grougrou there again with that screen trying to break back into this zone, but it's not going to be enough. 2 down. Duck Motif is now threatening a knockout.
Yeah, and especially with the pencil player still being online. I mean, look at that. They just consistently are throwing ink down at the zone. It's like, yes, Grougrou is in control, and you also have Gray trying to follow up on the pencil as well. But here it is, Toma. 3 members now of Duck Motif down. Look at all 3 members of Grougrou being pushed up here. This is where the narrative is going to try and be changed. Now that the penalty is gone, you have the screen out once again. You have Cooler coming out. This is where the stacking of specials is really going to matter for Grougrou if they want to maintain this momentum.
Oh, and the pencil getting picked by Kyo. I don't think they knew Kyo was up there now. Kyo's in a great position, turning around, trying to find Vex in there. This could be disaster for Duck Motif. Kyo is just absolutely tearing it up, finding another one onto Kara before going down. Red Shell stuck in this Zipcaster, gonna just try to paint this zone. Able to neutralize it for just a second, but that isn't going to be enough. Grougrou coming back from what looked like the brink of disaster.
Yeah, that was getting really dicey for Grougrou there, but I think really the stacking of those specials right at the end was the key to success. You had the tri-strikes come out, you had the screen forcing everybody back into the spawn, because once they had Duck Motif on the back foot with spawning back in, you had to throw that screen out and just, I mean, where else are they going to try to enter? They have to go through and have sensory overload from the screen if they want to try and go in and take a fight. So that was a great placement by Grougrou there. But also, I mean, you had Kyo getting literally a 6-kill streak in the pit area in front of that spawning point. So, I mean, just wasting so much time for Duck Motif, but also just trickling, taking people out one by one and just trickling the time as slow as possible. Kind of a slow burn win for Grougrou there. And with Kyo ending it with a trade too, I mean, that was just kind of the cherry on top for Grougrou. So, I mean, again, one minor slip up from Duck Motif. See, they had 2 specials at the ready too. They had the Zipcaster and they had the Trizuka there to see if they could maybe find any value out of it, but it just wasn't quite enough, and there was no footing to be had because you had to get Kyo out of there. So well played in the last final seconds by Grougrou.
Absolutely, and I mean, they were able to put it all together to get that beautiful knockout. Now, they've won that first game. It's on to Duck Motif to choose the counter pick here. The counter pick rules being that you are not able to counter pick a map that you have played in this set. So there is a lot of options open for Duck Motif, and they got quite a strong performance on zones. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they thought that zone still was their best opportunity to start finding some ground here. But of course, you know, it's going to be all about which maps these teams are most comfortable with, and no one knows that better than them.
Yeah, that's very true. So a lot of discussion being had on what the counter pick should be. And I especially know that folks like Biscuit and Kyo very much tend to lean towards splat zones, especially because you have a lot of these players that will play things like in the zone. And you have Kyo, who hosts their own tournaments for things, also trying to cater more so to zones as well. So you have people that are definitely more privy to it and on top of it, and definitely the mode of choice for people. So if Duck Motif, I think, is going to recorrect and find a different mode to try to battle with, I don't think splat zones would be the move.
Yeah, I mean, definitely could be right there. I mean, but they were really close.
Oh,
I mean, we are going to see splat zones come out again, and I mean, I don't know if I
as the
can
crow
blame them.
flies.
Did you see the hold that Duck Motif had for a long time,
No, it's
right? I
true.
think
It's
that
true.
if there was a point in time where Red Shell tried to move in while there was like I think 10 counts left on that zone and unfortunately got picked, but if that battle had just turned out slightly different, if Red Shell had found the pick instead, I think you could have seen Duck Motif take that game.
Right, and like what an insult to injury too, where Red Shell was finding a really nice landing spot on that wall and Kyo said, nah fam, I'm gonna throw a tri-strike here and there ain't nothing you can do about it. So I think that's something to be mindful of moving forward for Red Shell. No changes though coming out on either end. You still have the same pencils, you still have those squeezers coming into the fray. But I want to talk about Biscuit. Biscuit has been switching in between like playing the bucket or playing Zap slash squeezer as well, and so it's nice that that screen is opted to be played in because Biscuit is very, very good with this screen weapon. But they're also very good with the Trizuka on the vanilla squeezer as well. So it's just nice to see people being allowed to play to their strengths, and Grougrou is going to be doing just that as they are making the opening statement with the tri-strikes coming out. Look at that opening that Kyo has made for their teammates to try to push in there. I mean, no entrance point for Duck Motif so far.
Yeah, and look at this screen too. This is a really good map for screen now. It's kind of cutting off all routes for entry. Kara dropping down there and forced to back up, not wanting to take that with the screen damage on them. Red Shell trying to move in, create an opening with that Zipcaster, but not going to quite be enough. But we do see that a lot of blue paint here on this zone, trying to flip, but Grougrou is going to hold on to it for now. Saf, this is a map that I think really, really plays into that pencil screen combination, and it's going to be hard for Duck Motif to find their break back in. Trying to use the special to their advantage, finding one, but only trading it out. And trades are not what they want to take at the moment, as Grougrou is able to just easily still keep control of this zone as they maintain man advantage here, trying to get it back there. You see now just 20 counts remaining, Sap. Grougrou needs to act fast, and with one player down, they're in danger.
Yeah, I really appreciate Obito not overextending there for a moment. They kind of just were painting the zone, but also really much relying on Gray to make the call out for if there was anybody that was going to infiltrate into the entry point there. Look at Kyo here taking the fight to the pencil by Kaiza as well. I mean, Kaiza hasn't been able to find any value there for a few seconds. I mean, the zone now being switched into Duck Motif's favor, and with 3 members of Grougrou going down, that was the break in the mold that Duck Motif needed. And look at how quickly they're going to take advantage of pushing up here. Red Shell going in on the right flank. Kaiza pushing forward too, going to find some poke. The penalty now being eliminated for Duck Motif. This is going to be really big, and they are still like feeding Toma. Look at that, a delayed wipe on Grougrou.
They've got to watch Red Shell here, who's looking to find some picks too on the side. The strikes are going to try to clear a path forward, going to be forcing them off some very powerful offensive territory. But Red Shell finding another pick before going down, but Vexen able to keep that pressure up. This is looking to be dangerous that they can't get back in fast. Kyo is trying to create that opening, but now taking a trade. Biscuit and Gray are the ones left open to try to take this zone by storm. Kara trying to defend it, not going to quite be able to do so. It looks like they may be able to get back to the zone in time, but will they be able to take it back? No, they're not. There's the lead change, and Duck Motif pulls it back, Saf.
Oh my gosh, and that tri-strike opening coming out from Kyo was huge, but not, I mean, no, not the tri-strike opening, excuse me. Near the following, like the ending seconds, Kyo going in for that trade was huge because Biscuit and Gray were immediately able to find safe passage to push up, but Biscuit immediately taken down into the pit section here. Look at this. So Biscuit and Obito and Gray able to push forward there, but Biscuit being forced down into that pit area to fight Vexen. So that is a powerful painter being taken away from the zone right away. And so, I mean, just in the final seconds there, it was really much a battle of, do I focus on this fight or do I focus on objective to try to get Vexen out of there? And so Biscuit was trying to do the best they could with what they had. Look at that. So falling down into the corner, that's actually Kira that Biscuit goes in to fight with. So Obito and Gray are going to be forced to go forward there, but still not enough paint power for Obito and not enough space to utilize. Kyo coming in right at the end there. I mean, that was just recipe for disaster for Grougrou, unfortunately. So honestly, kind of a GG's go next situation from Grougrou. Like, you know, Duck Motif out, they were like, okay, yes, we see you, we heard you, all right, we got it. We see the mistake, we know how to recorrect here. So again, both teams now winning a Splat Zones match. Splat zones cannot be picked, but Grougrou going with all reliable on tower control Inkbot, and I'm wondering if they're going in with this on a game 3 because they know this could be a guaranteed win for them.
I mean, you say that, but stop, I have to point out, this is kind of, the final destination map of tower control. This is the map that is highly used in competitive play. All these teams are going to be very, very, very familiar with this tower control stage on Inkblot, so it's kind of like, yeah, you can be very confident in your skills on it, but the opponents probably are going to be too, so it's always one of those ones where I look at a counter pick and I'm like, this is gonna go one of two ways. It's either gonna work out really well for you, or really not.
Right, but I think that the amount of experience of big tournaments that Grougrou has on their side is really playing a key factor into this, especially because you have the Starburst and the FT Win folks making up some pieces of Grougrou, and no strangers to this map, and especially when you're put under pressure and there's a lot of stuff riding on it. So it's like we've frequently seen Biscuit and Kios of these major tournaments make it to Inkblot Art Academy on tower control. They're no strangers to it. They've been playing it for a long time, and it's not to say that Duck Motif isn't either. However, I do think that Grougrou does have a little bit of that LAN major wind in their sails with the amount of pressure that's been onto them before playing this. And look at, so Biscuit is actually going to opt out of the screen. We're going to switch back over to that vanilla Squeezer, but Squeezer nonetheless. And instead of using the pencil here, Gray is going to opt to use the Enzap. So that's a really interesting change, considering that there's a lot of obstacle here for Pencil to have to worry about.
Yeah, there is going to be a lot of obstacles here, and I mean, Zap is able to really use the ups and downs of this map with these stacks a lot faster, a lot more efficiently, can play around it a little bit safer. And of course, a suction bomb, are you ever going to say no to a suction bomb on tower control?
Oh, definitely not. Definitely something that is a lot more useful in a game mode such as this. Kira finding safe passage on the tower. They're going to get a nice double pick there. Still going to have to be forced out, though, as Kyo's going to come in and go and opt in for the flank. But with a pinching tactic there, Grougrou finding themselves with a 3-down scenario against Duck Motif and wasting no time. Look at this, Kyo and Obito pushing forward here. Obito finding an excellent double pick with the Trizuka there. That's just insult to injury here for Duck Motif. They are living in the base area of Duck Motif right now, Toma.
Yeah, I mean, after those jumps just lined themselves up for Kyo to just get on landing, I mean, now it's all Grougrou's game here, and they're going to be going up to this second checkpoint. They look like they're going to probably be able to break it here without much contest, as the members of Duck Motif aren't quite able to find the space forward to get onto that tower and to be able to contest it. And now it's riding over there towards checkpoint 3. You're starting to see this dangerous kind of snowball territory. You've got Vex in there with the Zuka out, but it isn't going to be able to quite find picks onto Grougrou. Red Shell zip casting that tower. That's going to find a bit more value finding one, but it's still not going to be enough to stop them. You see those jumps coming in, and the tower is still rushing towards checkpoint 3. Obito there to take a fight. Almost has this Trizuka ready, which could possibly spell disaster if it's able to find some value here. Looking, finds one, trying to find a second there. 2 down. They're able to keep this push sustained, I think.
Yeah, quite the needle thread coming out from Obito in that one Zuka shot there. That was in between multiple obstacles that they found landfall with that one. The tower is still in possession of Grougrou, though. I mean, immense amount of wind in their sails. You can see Duck Motif is trying their best to follow up Toma, but for a while there was a moment where it was Biscuit's world and we were all living in it, because 4 members of Duck Motif were looking down and Biscuit was the last man standing, trying to hold all 4 members there. So that was definitely a mind game to be had on the side of Duck Motif, because definitely kind of scared to jump down, because look at that. Nobody knew where Kyo was. Vixen certainly didn't. And Kyo was able to land an awesome shot onto them. And they're still going to try to do that. Plenty of damage to be taken by Kyo there. Still no value to be had, but when you have Biscuit and Gray following up, Gray being the last one left alive, that is finally the nail in the coffin for Grougrou to back off and for Duck Motif to try to make a response here down to the 10 mark. Very, very comfortable defensive spot for Grougrou to be in. However, with a minute and plenty of change left to go, I mean, it still could be anybody's game, Toma.
Yeah, it still can be anybody's game, but just as you say that too, Grougrou is still continuing to maintain this offensive pressure, finding 2 in mid. Obito has that Zuka out, unfortunately not going to find a whole lot of value here, as they're really just trying to still continue to push Grougrou out of their bats area, and we really haven't seen a reset back to neutral since Grougrou began their push. Gray going to continue to hold space here in mid, and you can see how much of it is still Grougrou's color. Red Shell moves in to find some picks, and you do see picks coming out for Duck Motif, but it really isn't enough to establish space in mid for them, which they need to get before they can start pushing this tower again. 2 down onto Grougrou. This is going to be their opportunity to finally do so, but they really need to watch out for Obito, who's just going to drop in here in mid and try to win up some of these fights, taking a trade, and any time that they can burn off that clock, it's going to be huge for them.
Yeah, it's very much like a battle of bloodshed here. There's a lot of trading going back and forth. Duck Motif, though, still on the front foot as the tower moving in and sailing to the second checkpoint here. They have plenty of members up. That's 2 members of Grougrou going down at once. We didn't get to see where or how they went down, but that was going to be major there, because look at Kyo. Kyo has to keep their distance here. They can't really get close, but they are going to be close to there for the jumps. Oh my gosh, Duck Motif finding themselves corralled in that ramp area. 3 of them going down. Plenty of blue space to be had with Grougrou here. 25 seconds left on the clock. This is looking to be Grougrou all the way home, Toma.
That's what it's sure looking like, but you know, don't count your eggs until they hatch. Will Duck Motif be able to pull anything out right now? It's going to be a tough call here for them. 2 down, make that not quite 3, but now they're going to stagger just a tiny bit as this tower approaches their bats. 2 seconds left. Are they able to get it? Red Shell touches it, but immediately goes down. Grougrou taking the set 2-1.
And shout outs to Jory in there trying to find someone's perspective that we can look at, because it just seems like as soon as we even get one point of view, that person's dead in the water in those last couple of seconds. So not really getting to see too many folks at the end there, but still Grougrou coming out on top. Again, you got to be watching out for these folks on Grougrou, especially Obito here. Look at this. Obito had a firm hold in the bats area. They had so many good Trizuka spots. That was the needle thread right there, because they barely peeked around that box there to make contact with their Zuka shot. So that was just excellent gameplay there coming out from Obito. And you have Biscuit too trying to hold up the left-hand side, but especially with Kyo having the GG strikes there, that was just going to lock Grougrou into winning, taking the victory on that next round. So again, Duck Motif being forced on the back foot for the counter-picking scenario here, but that also means that Grougrou still cannot pick splat zones and they cannot pick tower control again.
I know that I don't know if they can they? I think that they cannot choose the map that they have played in this set.
Yes.
Oh, they might be able to go back to a mode. I'm not quite sure. I'm not a TO here. Neither of us are TOs here, but I am interested to see what this counter pick is going to be coming out, because that we saw a very, very strong zones game both times from Duck Motif. So even if they can go back to zones, I'm not necessarily sure if that's the well, I guess that is the play. This is Duck Motif. This is Duck Motif counterpicking. Yes, this might be the play if they can, because they almost won the first game and they won the second game. It's definitely, I think, a better pick than tower control. You don't want to go right back there. Rainmaker isn't an option, and do you really want to risk Clam Blitz? That's kind of like your unknown right now on your final game opportunity. I feel like we might see a zones if we can return.
Right, because I don't think that tower control would be the move, just considering like the tower control map that you would want to counterpick has already happened. So it's like counterpicking tower control again. There's not really another good map to counterpick unless it's Makomar tower control. Okay, I mean,
we will.
We think that we're in their heads, chat, but we're definitely not. Like Toma and I try to speculate all the time, which don't get me wrong, I love speculating more than the next guy.
I'm always wrong.
I'm always wrong. I'm always consistently wrong, but that's what I love about speculating, because sometimes you can just be like, hey, I don't really need to know the facts of this. I just want to pretend and guess in my head that this is the way that it is. But then, you know, we all... Right, but this is also why that we have the power of the internet in our hands all the time, because we can just find the answers whenever we want to. But this is the answer that that Duck Motif is going to look for here on Mako Mart tower control. They're trying to find a response, but I mean, again, you have very, very strong contestants going forward and trying to battle against. So Kai'Sa opting out of the pencil gameplay, but it's a 1-for-1 trade as Gray is going to opt back into the pencil. So you have to wonder what the reasoning is because, again, you have two people that frequently play pencil here and play that backline. So what is the reasoning for trying to switch it out and push into NZAP instead? And because you have a lot of paint output on both sides, so it's definitely useful. And look at this very, very neutral game. Finally, one pick being made to make it 2.
Yeah, Kyo is going to be on this bucket, which is going to be a really, really strong pick here on Mako Mart with all these stacks. I mean, you do have Red Shell that has the brush, which is also very strong on the stacks, but when you have a weapon on both teams that was really strong, I'm not sure if you can necessarily classify that as an advantage. The other team has one as well. I am interested, like you said, in the Zap versus Pencil. I think personally, I enjoy Zap more on this map, but I'm also not top level, so I'm interested to see what they're cooking here. And right now, Duck Motif does have control of this tower again. They're looking at breaking that first checkpoint. The Zuka is out. They're looking at trying to pick Biscuit here in the corner. Will Vexen be able to do it? They're going to force a jump out, and now this tower is going to be continuing, but it's going to be stalled for just a second by those strikes. And it's looking pretty good, honestly, at this moment for Duck Motif, who's racking up quite a bit of score here on this board.
Yeah, and with having the cooler there too to follow it up, look at that. Kyo trying to jump in and find some, having FaceTime with Duck Motif, not going to find any value though. The trade and try Zuka's there. Biscuit, unfortunately, on the receiving end of that one, and Obito not finding or landing a pick either. But still, that's multiple members down on Duck Motif. That is going to force them to be a little bit delayed here with the forward momentum, and they end up losing the tower. And with Gray popping that cooler again, 3 members down, but Grougrou is everybody up. So stocks are high right now for Grougrou as we're sailing back into the mid section here. But Duck Motif has been so fast to respond, and you have to be watching out for where Red Shell is. And Kyo is actually is very privy to that as they keep trying to bring the fight to them.
Yeah, they are, and I mean, now you've got Grougrou here at that first checkpoint, but you can see how under fire it is right now from Duck Motif. They're not letting that break easily as that tower starts to reset back towards mid. Red Shell trying to take some space here, sees Kyo on the side, going to be trying to pressure that, getting Kyo back. You don't want Kyo under those ledges on you. It can be very, very scary here on this map, and you can see Kyo is forced back some. Now under fire from that, Zuka is going to get a nice jump out just in time to be able to survive that, and Duck Motif is still going to be trying to close that space, but Red Shell taken out by Azuka. Some trades on both sides, but it looks like Grougrou is kind of getting the victory out of this fight and is going to start taking some space for themselves.
Yeah, and that's going to be huge for Grougrou here, finally going to try to contest this first checkpoint once again. Kyo not able to defend Gray very much there, though, as they go down, but Obito still able to follow up, taking Vixen out and also taking Kira out of the process. So Kyo has more safe passage to get back on the tower, but Gray, unfortunately, falling victim to the suction bomb here. Duck Motif having great placement of these suction bombs, might I add, because consistently you're seeing just a delayed launch of suction bombs onto the tower continuously, so it causes some delay for Grougrou to try to get comfortable there. And with Red Shell trying to push up on the side and trying to launch themselves onto the tower, but unfortunately getting taken out mid-flight. That first checkpoint for Grougrou finally being popped, and with man advantage as well and cooler, this is looking pretty good for Grougrou right now, Toma.
Yes, it definitely is, and Duck Motif needs to get this back under control, make sure that they stop the bleeding. They don't want to lose lead here. They do get 2 down. That's going to be a great opportunity, but they're 2 down themselves, looking for that fight with Obito, looking at this jump here. These next moments could be crucial for them. Obito gets a pick here, going to get some space going for Grougrou, getting that zap out of the way, but they have to find some more kills to secure it, and Red Shell is going to be stopping them down. Going to get that Zip Caster out, and unfortunately not going to find much with it. Just a minute left in this game, and still a lot of pressures on Grougrou to find a response here.
Yeah, and Grougrou is still trying their hardest, Toma. I mean, but the amount of paint power that Duck Motif has, it's making it hard, because a lot of times you're just giving more and more terrain for each team to just build special, even though sometimes it's like, do you take a bunch of space or do you allow the special building to be had for the other side? It's a very delicate balance and tightrope to walk. But Grougrou still looking to try to make the best of it. As you can see, bombs are coming out. The Trizuka positioning has been good. You have Biscuit opting to push forward with the wall here, and Vexen only finding 2 shots out with that Trizuka. It is all Grougrou from here now, Toma, especially with that cooler coming out. Kyo is feeling pretty confident and strong to take the fight, and it's a successful fight at that. That is going to be Grougrou moving forward and knocking Duck Motif out of the water. Duck is on the menu, boys, and Grougrou is eating.
Yeah, Grougrou now they're moving forward into winners finals, and they are also securing their spot here in the 22XX League. It's the top 3 teams again that will be securing their victory here today. So that is a great step for them here, and they've got to feel awesome coming off of that.
Yeah, that was a really tough hill to climb for Grougrou. I mean, Duck Motif did not give them an easy time with it. They definitely held on to their lead as long as they could. But when you have folks that just know the game, they know the pressure and the places that they have to be at the right time. And especially with Biscuit, this was a huge play from Biscuit, because that Trizuka was in a dangerous spot to be finding value on Kyo and Gray here. And with Biscuit taking away that threat right away, I mean, you could see that Kyo and Gray wasted no time to push forward. Kyo forcing a trade scenario over on the right-hand side there, similarly to this as it happened earlier in the game. But that was all Grougrou all the way through, and I mean, Duck Motif definitely gave them a run for their money, but that's going to be Grougrou securing the spot once again in the league moving forward.
Yeah, huge for them, very big. And then now, you know, looking over into our bracket, Saf, we've got Celeste and Moonlight, who are currently fighting it out over on the other side of winners semis. So the winner there, which right now, currently it's 2-1 in Celeste's favor. They're looking to try to secure that spot in their league, and of course the loser there will be bumped down onto loser's side. Right now, still alive in losers. We have obviously Duck Motif, who we had just seen fall down there. TH Salmon, who we saw earlier today, is waiting on the winner of Captain Happy Crew and HDMI cable. And then one more. Where did it go? My screen refreshed on me. The Forces of Gravity. They're still here. They're still fighting. They're still strong over in losers bracket right now.
Okay, so the Force of Gravity is still to be a force to be reckoned with, and they are going against BTDX. Moving forward into the bracket, and Stacks of Cash also going down 0-2 to BTDX, but Stacks of Cash beating Geomancy, where Geomancy was at the top of the bracket previously and got knocked out because of Grougrou here. So definitely a really interesting storyline being created here on the 20XX broadcast. TH Salmon also in the losers bracket round 5, but Duck Motif finding them even higher in the losers bracket round 6. So I think after this, Toma, I believe that's going to be us moving into the losers quarterfinals. So we're taking a break from the top bracket for a little bit. We're putting a pin in that one as Celeste and Moonlight are still duking it out and finishing up business there. So we're going to go down the bracket and we're going to be looking at the losers quarterfinals, which I believe it's going to be folks that we've already seen before, whether that is TH Salmon with whoever they get to beat with HDMI Cable and Captain Happy Crew, or the Forces of Gravity versus BTDX. So, I mean, we're feasting either way. We're feasting either way in the losers quarterfinals.
We certainly are feasting either way, and I mean, I'm excited. It looks like, I think quarters. I mean, I'm doing math. Winners, losers finals. Okay, I think it might be this this round that's locked down here, that it looks like it'll be the loser of Celeste and Moonlight and the winner of Forces of Gravity and BTDX, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so that's looking pretty good, and I think it looks like I think we're still in the best of 5 scenario, yeah, so okay, so after this one we are moving on to losers bracket round 5.
Oh, we're moving one sooner. Okay,
yeah, one sooner.
Looks like we're going to be seeing TH Salmon once again.
Yeah, so TH Salmon will come back with us onto the stream, but we're still waiting on the results from HDMI Cable and Captain Happy Crew. And HDMI Cable having Pika, Caden, Birch, and Toasty Dinner on their side, but then on Captain Happy Crew, you have Kaora, Mia, Splat, and I Don't Want to Be Here, who is actually Captain Happy themselves, on Facade, the Team Facade Splat. So fun group of people on the side of Captain Happy Crew. And you also have folks from 37 Beautiful Boys and Sarah. And you also have people from Sea Bunny Plush. You have Mia pulling up from Sea Bunny Plush. That's a really fun name to think about. But you also have Kaora as well. And Kaora and Captain Happy are no strangers to each other, as they both are on the team Facade. So we are still steamrolling through with a lot of folks that have so many results under their belts to play with. But it's fun because on the side of HDMI cable you have Pika from the late Cherry Limeade also playing in, but you have people like Caden from Hypernova, and you have Birch as well, who is also with Hypernova, and Toasty Dinner as well, who likes to play a lot of Bucket and Splash, but also a little bit of Blaster sprinkled in. So again, you have a good mismatch, Modge Podge of folks coming into the fray here and playing. And looking over on the other side on the Dapple screen, Celeste and Moonlight are in a very decisive game 5 here, with Celeste really being the ones who were looking to victory because they have been up in the 2 games for a little bit here, and Moonlight may be trying to reverse sweep once again. It seems like this is the story of reverse sweep for Moonlight.
Yeah, that's what it's looking to be. And we actually have our match. We're going to be seeing HDMI Cable taking the 2-0 victory over Captain Happy Crew, knocking them out of the tournament. We're going to see now HDMI Cable versus TH Salmon.
Yeah, HDMI Cable getting a very awesome 2-0 win, which is interesting, Toma, because I feel Captain Happy Crew is definitely more of a household name for these types of things, and so seeing them knocked out this early is really surprising to me. But sometimes people just have the better keys to victory that are needed and necessary to move forward, and that is a-okay. So we're excited. We're excited to have HDMI Cable and also welcoming back TH Salmon to the fray. And with TH Salmon, with the things that they were pulling out here, I'm curious to know how HDMI Cable is going to want to come in and correct in the best way that they can. Just considering Captain Happy Crew had a lot of heavy hitters, and it's like, as you move forward into these higher levels, I mean, you're going to see a lot of the same herbs and spices of what comps are going to be played, and so it's really fun when it comes down to the actual pure mechanical skill of who is going to be the victor and the successor in the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm interested to see it too. And I mean, just like Captain Happy Crew is made up of a bunch of stacked players too. I mean, HDMI Cable knocking them out, right? These are all pretty much all plus level players. I mean, Pika, of course, infamous Pika from Cherry Limeade, our beloved. Caden is in +2. Birch, I believe, is in +3. Yes, that's right as well. I think it's just Toasty that's not in the plus server there, but like a 2-time winner of Proving Grounds, like obviously very, very capable to have made it this far. And I mean, the fact that we're only in losers round 5, there's still what, 1, 2, 3 more rounds of losers, and you have this caliber of team as the last remaining standing here. It shows just how many crazy stacked players are showing up to this tournament.
I know, and it's fun because it's like all of these folks also like are showing up on different teams and pickups. Like you have some household names in terms of like actual teams, but then it's like you have all of these other household name players that are just making up all of these different pickups. So it's really hard sometimes to keep up with what folks are doing and stuff, because you have people forming and disbanding so often and frequently that it's like at this stage in the game, when you get to this type of level, you really just got to be following the players and what their journeys are going to be. So thinking about TH Salmon, you had Lexi on the pencil, who was an absolute painting menace. You had Henlo on the wiper, who, I mean, the forward pressure momentum that came from Henlo in the previous sets that we got to watch is definitely something you need to be looking out for. And so HDMI Cable, I think, is someone that's got to be very mindful of the flank. But also you have someone like Pika Dave, who is no stranger to the flank, whether it's on offensive or defensive. So I think we're going to have Battle of the Flankers coming out for the fact that you have Henlo and Pika trying to duke it out.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, those are two players that I always love to see playing. So I'm really interested to see how they're going to be playing around each other. Starting off on a map like Clamblitz Umami Ruins, it's a very, very, like, I mean, we saw Umami Ruins before. Yes, technically it was on Splat Zones, but Clamblitz doesn't really change the fact that this is the map where if you get really far forward into that base, you can let that objective go. You can just let somebody cycle clams, and there's not a lot that people can do if they can't get to that basket to defend.
Right. And it's fun to see people try to recorrect and especially play with different people, because you have someone like Pika Dave who has played with Cherry Limeade for many years, and many seasons of things. And so getting to see them actually get a different flavor of comp experience and playing with different people and how they try to recorrect that is really, really fun. And it's always encouraging to watch somebody's journey through comp and how they try to change and grow and adapt. So it's a real treat to get to watch Pika Dave here on the stage, but also I've been really thoroughly enjoying watching TH Salmon as well, because you have so many heavy hitters on the side of TH Salmon. So like I said, I'll repeat it again. It's like at this stage in the game, it's more important to follow the individuals versus the actual team, unless like HDMI cable were to really establish themselves and be like, hi, we're now a team, like watch us play, please. Then you might want to be like, okay, I'm gonna tune in for sure. But otherwise, it's like you just really got to be mindful of what individual people are doing and how their journeys are going.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it too here as both these teams are ready up. And I mean, oh, what a journey they've had here today, coming down to this point, and they're really trying to rank it up here now. They need to get all the way to losers finals and take a victory there to be able to make it to that third place that's so coveted now for everybody in losers bracket. Everybody's there just trying to make it so that they can get that podium finish and get to the Dapple League. Very excited to see who's going to be podiuming here at 20XX today. We're duking it out now in losers round 5. Here we go. Umami Ruins. We see Pika on that, very standard bucket that we love to see Pika on. The Wiper, of course, coming out from Henlo. Those two are going to be duking it out a lot, I'm sure. And of course, Pencil v Pencil. Nothing out of the ordinary here on Clamblitz Umami.
And very similar setup in terms of gear as well for each pencil player, so similar flavoring there. A very strong statement being made by TH Salmon. You see Ace with the blaster there. Also Ace maybe just taking a moment to perhaps take a clip, but also just wait for their teammates to get comfortable there. Now the first basket pop by no stretch of the imagination going to be had by TH Salmon, and still finding comfort in the basket area too, with Synapse especially launching that killer whale at the right time. You can see Ace and Synapse and Henlo living rent-free in this base, and as the Kraken is popped as well, you can see that Birch is going to have to be forced to move out of the way, but that's going to be Ace taking themselves out of the game as well, with Birch just an insult to injury there, and the wipeout. TH Salmon stopping their push at the 47 mark, but that was, I mean, one hell of an opening.
The Kraken off the map was killing me. But now we're going to see HDMI cable maybe have their opportunity to really get in here. Here comes the Kraken forcing its way in. The strikes are going to provide some space in here as well. Pika trying to find that opening, but going to get shot down. Not going to find a basket break quite yet. TH Salmon, I mean, we saw how scrappy they can be, and they sure haven't lost that throughout today so far.
Yeah, and I appreciate Caden too trying to follow up with that Trizuka, and look at Birch having the power climb and getting it, but then they see all of their friends just exploding across the map, so they're like, I have to back up here and wait for them to come back in with me. But look at Pika trying to hold it down and try to make some sort of opening, but how are you supposed to do that when you have Ace totally dominating your little canister area, whatever that little top sniping spot is? I feel like we call too many things snipe. We need more fun names, and I'm gonna stick with canister from now on. You cannot change my mind or my opinion on this. Now moving forward, you can see I'm a Div 5. They had some balls in their possession, but actually that power climb is gonna once again find itself off the ledge, similarly to the Scorch Clams game where Lexi unfortunately found their demise and dropped the ball off the ledge. But that's okay, because we are gonna be able to replace it no problem here by Synapse. And so TH Salmon is just gonna have to really hold this middle section, Toma, but can they do that for 2.5 minutes?
Yeah, it's going to be quite the hold here that they need to keep going. HDMI cable has quite a score to be able to add to, but I mean, we've seen, you know, bigger scores fall. They just need to find the right opportunity to do so, and these players are no stranger to waiting for the right moment. Pika there is going to be picked off in mid by the pencil as TH Salmon just continues to find space. They have been relentless in this sap, moving forward, trying to get some picks. Unfortunately, not quite able to do so there in the moment as trades just go back and forth, and you see that TH Salmon's just kind of stuck up here in mid, but the Kraken might finally open the way, looking under that basket, seeing if they can try to get some pressure here. They're going to end up on that podium there, going to be opening the way to try to get a basket break. I thought that the plan was going to go in. I saw it swim past, but somebody must have knocked it out. It looks like they did. Not going to find a score there, and again, it just continues to be this kind of gruesome stalemate, but a hammer double, that may be the opportunity. Hitlow, I mean, is this the second time Hitlow's found a double hammer on this map?
Yeah, I think that is the second time that this happened. But still, it's like TH Salmon is still just living in their brains, Toma. I mean, what is HDMI cable to do here? They still keep getting the power clam and economy in their favor, but like when you have someone like Ace pulling up the side there and just completely negating any access or entry to the canister area there, it's like, how is the pencil really going to find more value? Because there's so many more obstacles not on top of that canister area, and so Birch is having a hard time really finding entry here, and they also have a target on their back with that clam in their hands, which consistently they've had kind of in these last few seconds as well. But still, 14 clams on the board for HDMI cable, make it 2 power clams, make it 3 power clams. Toma, look at all of these targets on their backs, and it's like, but TH Salmon is going to take full advantage of that, because it's like, hey, that's basically a point sensor, y'all. You're telling us exactly what you're trying to do and what your moves are.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I mean, that's exactly what they need to know right now, is just the locations of everybody and what exactly they need to do to stop them from progressing forward. And you can see about 17 seconds left in this game. They've got a power clam here on both sides, but it's going to be HDMI cable that's trying to get the space, and they need to get that space. But unfortunately, one going down, all the action, oh my gosh, 3 down on HDMI. This is spelling disaster. Synapse looking underneath the basket just to get that jump in.
Okay.
Here we go, Sam. TH Salmon finds that basket break.
That was exciting. Toma, I literally jumped in my chair. I was fully sitting, like, office position, like I'm typing on my computer, and I literally launched my feet up into a ball position, and I am now sitting, I'm like in a ball, like in fetal position on my chair, jumping up from that, because I mean, I had no faith. I'll admit it. I had no faith that I'm a Div 5 was going to be able to make that jump successfully. Thank you for changing it to me, Dorian. Look at this. I'm literally up in my chair. I was like, holy smokes. That jump was such a big risk, but it was a risk that they had to take, especially because they had the lead in their hands. So that was a really, really calculated play to make, and luckily, safe passage to be had, and TH Salmon was going in for the win. I like that we get to return to that little pause from Ace there. Just a very brief moment of mindfulness from Ace.
Yes, it definitely was. And then there was the Kraken diving off that map, and gosh, what a play there. But I mean, look here, that power clam just being able to make it there. Oh, huge ending to the game there for TH Salmon. And I mean, again, we saw them fight so scrappily earlier, and they were able to keep that energy going, and it's been so incredible.
Yeah, and they're gonna continue that momentum forward, going back to Robo Ramen onto Splat Zones. Now, Toma, I have this idea in my head. It's not a theory, it's a hypothesis, because theory has to be proven again and again and again. A fact is actually true. So my hypothesis is that Robo Ramen is partially some of the inside of what Arowana Mall looks like, and I want to say that Barnacle and Dime is also touching that as well. I want to say that all of these indoor spaces are going to be just like that. So with Robo Ramen coming into the front-facing area here, also Robo Ramen could just be Muscle Forge Fitness remodeled. Like maybe Muscle Forge Fitness closed, they didn't have enough memberships, and so they were like, hey, Robo Ramen is actually where we're going to open up. We're going to open a restaurant instead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hungry. I don't know about you. I have not eaten today's half, so a bowl of ramen sounds pretty good about right
Phenomenal.
now.
Well, you know who else hasn't eaten today, Toma? HDMI cable, as they force TH Salmon into a 3-person wipe and are just living in their base right now. Especially, look at how much paint that Birch is just launching into the spawning area there.
Yeah, they are just keeping a lot of paint down here, and it looks like, unfortunately, now they're going to be losing control of that. But Synapse coming in, going to find it, trying to find that pick, but going down. Now we got that Kraken out underneath, and TH Salmon is going to be looking there on the side. But oh my gosh, imagine being stuck there in a corner, and Azuka just stares you down. It's like, hi, you're isolated, and I'm just going to launch my special right at you. HDMI cable holding strong. They have a little bit of penalty to work through, of course, Saf, but that's not stopping them as Cadence just rushing forward to find another pick, and these strikes are going to clear even more space for them.
Yeah, and look, and especially shoutouts to Pika here, just kind of holding up that left-hand side. Not finding too much value, though, especially because TH Salmon already has quickly spawned back in here. But it's just a back-and-forth, like, paint fight at this moment, Toma. It doesn't seem like TH Salmon is feeling very confident in pushing forward and forcing the fight onto the HDMI cable, but HDMI cable is going to say, hey, you know what, if you're not going to do that, then like we're going to take all the space that we can, and especially too like the amount of cooler that Birch has been like tossing out into the fray. But even when the HDMI cable pushes forward to try to take some space, it's like TH Salmon is also being very patient and playing it patiently, because now zone is back into their favor and there's no penalty left to hold them back. And so with Synapse also launching that killer whale, it's like, what space is HDMI cable going to have? Because they're already on the back foot from the beginning coming out of the spawn.
Yeah, they are, but look at this. Now there's that lead change coming out, and HDMI cable needs to find that entry now. The strikes plus the Kraken are going to try to make it happen. Not finding the pick onto Hinlow there means that TH Salmon's going to have a lot more firepower here coming out. Toast finds a great pick there, but it isn't going to be enough to really be able to stop this zone flip from going on, and Salmon is just holding on. They need to just keep this for a little bit longer, and then they'll be seeing themselves advance. The Kraken coming out, but that means a lack of paint on the zone. It's going to be an opportunity for HDMI able to get some paint out, but a pick there secures it.
Yeah, that was huge from Ace. I was right there with you, Toma. I saw the Kraken go away, but they got one pick from them leaving the zone, and then they immediately pivoted and went back to the zone to get that last one, kind of on that last little like the little wall there.
Yeah,
but
the little corner.
Yeah, the little corner. But the fact that Ace was able to land that pick while that person's feet were still on the zone, it just added that much more paint for TH Salmon to take the zone back into their favor. So that was ideally where that pick should have taken place for TH Salmon. And I mean, as the crow flies, it's now a 2-0 scenario, and TH Salmon is just plugging and chugging away. They're moving on.
Yes, they are. They're going to be moving on. The HDMI cable knocked out of this tournament, and that was a crazy, crazy losers run. We see that TH Salmon, like, has not lost steam since the winners bracket.
Yeah.
They're not letting up. They're here to try to win today. So, best of luck to them as they continue that run. Looking in at bracket at the top, Moonlight fell down to losers in a 3-2 versus Celeste. Celeste moving on. So Celeste and Grougrou are, first of all, your top 2 seeds. So congratulations to Seeding Team for getting that correct. And they're going to be securing their places going forward into the Dapple League, the 20XX League here, taking that spot among the 8 teams that will get to qualify. And now it's Duck Motif, TH Salmon, Moonlight, and then of course the Forces of Gravity and BTTX are the last ones remaining, trying to scrap it out for that 3rd spot down here in losers bracket. But Saf, that being said, I think that's going to be it for us here on the IPL stream today. But before we go, send it over to Dapples for the rest of this tournament. Where can the good people find you, Saf?
Oh, well, first of all, just don't find me. But I guess if you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at Safirea. That's 2 P's, 2 A's on Twitter. You can also find me just roaming around in the Puget Sound and in the ocean, because that's where I be a lot. If you are going to Riptide in September, I will also be running the streets of Sandusky, Ohio at the Sandusky Pancake House for Riptide as well. So, but Tomo, what about you? Where are you at? If I were to open a browser, or if I was just to like look outside with my binoculars, would I find you somewhere?
Maybe. So, of course, you can find me at Twitter at Crest of Gaute or here at Twitch at twitch.tv/ttoma_. But also, Houston with its H-Town Splashdown. We've got that second event coming up soon. You can find me there next weekend as well. But with that, we're going to send y'all over to Dapple Productions for the rest of this tournament. Everybody, you have a wonderful rest of your day.